Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success and what they have learnt along the way. Then hello and welcome everybody to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today I have the delight of having a chat with Keaira Turner, who is the CEO and lead publicist for KGT Communications, and she's all about helping people improve their branding. So people who are wanting to get exposure into securing themselves on magazines, blog posts, in social media, really gaining the attention of their audience. Keaira is the woman that you need to hear from. So welcome to the program, Keaira.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure. I'm super excited too, because who doesn't want to improve their branding, right? Who doesn't want to get more attention to what they're trying to sell, market, be? This affects everybody. Really looking forward to hearing your journey and how you've made this a niche in your market. So tell us about yourself, Keaira.
Okay, well, my name is Keaira Turner. I am 27 years old and I am from Birmingham, Alabama, which is in the United States. Born and raised. I'm into fashion, so I love to dress up and everything. I'm a big foodie, so 9 times out of 10, most of my Instagram posts are about food. And then also, fun fact, I am a pageant queen, so I am Miss Black Southeast International Ambassador. Because of COVID, this is going on like my second year of my title because our pageant was ultimately canceled in June. So right now I'm still in my title and I have my title until June of next year.
So you get a 2 years title just because of COVID. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is super cool. There are benefits. And so how did you align that to what you're doing? Is that just an on the side thing? You're quite broad then. You're CEO of a marketing business, but you post on food a lot because that's who you are. But that's the whole new world of marketing, isn't it? While you're doing business, to actually show your passions and more side of you and what you're interested in, and how that blends with also then people following you for that, and then seeing your style organically, I suppose.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So basically the pageant came about because I wanted to get more into, it was more of finding myself at the time before the pageant. I felt really lost in life. I was like, I wasn't too sure of myself actually. So I actually interned with this pageant back when I was in undergrad. So I kept seeing all the posts about it, and I'm a believer, if you see 3 things 3 times, like, you need to just go ahead and do something about it. So around this time of me not feeling myself, I kept seeing the application come up, and normally I never see the application come up. Like, even when I was interning, I never saw the application come up. So it came up 3 times. So I was like, okay, do I need to go and apply for this? Like, this is like stepping way out of my comfort zone, because even though I like fashion, like pageantry world, that's a whole different side of the glitz and glam, and I've always used to being in the background of things. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance and I'm gonna do this. So I applied for the pageant. I was like, I didn't hear any back from anybody. So I was like, okay, well, they didn't choose me. So I got a call saying they wanted to do an interview. So I did the interview, and basically they were like, what is your platform? And at the time I was like, I didn't have a platform, but I know that I'm always about encouraging young women and just women in general about how to go for their dreams. And that's the first thing I said, women empowerment, that's my niche. So that's what we're gonna go with. So a couple of weeks went by. I thought, hey, I didn't get it. And ultimately I got the email saying, hey, we want you to be a part of the pageant. And it kind of aligns with my business goals and my personal goals, because like I said, on Instagram, And even in my personal life, like women empowerment is big to me because like when I was younger, other than my family, women empowerment wasn't a big, social sexy word as it is now. So being able to, instill into the young women in my community and showing them, hey, you have a tangible person who wants to see you succeed as well. So that's kind of how the pageant tied into everything.
So for those of us in the world, as in like I'm in Australia, we don't have pageants. So what does that all mean? I know that's big in America, but for those who are listening in around the globe, what does it mean when you sign up to go in a pageant and then you become the winner or the representative of your area? What does that even mean?
Yeah, so basically just being a leader in your community. There are so many different pageants, but with this one in particular, you're more in the community, helping to cultivate relationships and building a bridge between women and learning more about community service, more about helping the community in any kind of way that you can. So with my pageant, we do appearances. I've been in Christmas pageants. I've gone to women empowerment luncheons. I've been on TV and just talking about how I want to bring awareness to women's empowerment and mentorship into my community. And then ultimately, if I do win the entire crown, it's just going over the whole United States and being able to share my platform and be able to be that beacon of hope for young women.
Wow, pretty exciting stuff. So well done you. So at the moment, you're the winner in your area and you're still open
Yes.
coming. You then go into another level against everybody else around the States, but that due to COVID has shut down at the moment.
Yes, correct.
So tell us more then, what drew you to wanting to get into women's empowerment? Tell us about your story of, obviously people who want to do this have generally come from a sense of, I didn't feel empowered. This was not something that I was aware of when I was growing up. I felt disempowered, and therefore I want to become a champion in this space. So I'm going to make a big assumption that that's kind of where you're coming from.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about then, what was it like for a young girl to grow up in your world, in your area, and then what you would like to see change, and how do you think you can become a big part of that?
Yeah, so basically, I would say most of my childhood, I did have women in my life that, empowered me on the back end, but within career and college and things like that, everything that I went into was mostly male dominant. When I first started college, I was a biology pre-med major, so very, very male dominant. So I never had a mentor, in that space who was a woman who would say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I always felt like I was missing that piece. And then even then, like once I got into PR, trying to find women in my area was hard. Even as a business owner, sometimes I feel that instead of us helping women, we start to, the cattiness, the jealousy, things come out in that way. And in a particular story, when I was looking for my first job in PR before I started, well, as I was freelancing before I started my business, I was still looking for a PR job in Birmingham. And because PR isn't very known in my area, it was kind of hard. So I finally found, a woman that I felt like we could connect. She was coming from the same place I was. We were saying just things that I thought would, be empowering. So I went to the interview and, excuse my language, it was a shit show. She just came out the bat. She was like, after my interview, she just said, well, I knew I wasn't gonna like you. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, well, you already have your freelance business, and I want to know, why do you want to work for me? And well, if you become a part of my business, I'm going to take away from your freelance. You're going to give me all your clients and then I'm going to make you sign a non-disclosure that you can't do freelance, or within the 2 years, you can't freelance even if you leave the job or you get fired. And from that moment, I was like, what did I get myself into?
Oh.
And then she was like, even though I had a portfolio of all my writing samples, things I've done freelance, things I did in college, I still want you to write a writing sample for one of my clients. And I'm just like,
I don't think so.
So I left there feeling so defeated about finding true, genuine women that would help lift each other up. And like, I even went to my sister, I was like, oh my gosh, like, if this is what I have to look forward to getting into the working world, I don't want it. Then again, when I had gotten into another job that was in PR, I thought again, kindred spirits with women. And I had an internship, and it was also a job, and I was in grad school, but I had to get an internship during that time because my job couldn't count as my internship. So I put it on my LinkedIn. One of the ladies in a higher up position ran downstairs and was like, well, we gave you this job and you're leaving us already. And I was just like, first, where did you get this information from? And two, it was an internship. And three, no one has given me a job. I've been on an interview and, worked my hardest for this. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, what's going on? So I think that was the two biggest reasons of why I got into women empowerment.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your stories. And I know a lot of women around the globe will be listening to this and go, oh my gosh, that's true. These sorts of scenarios have happened to all of us. And it is really sad, and we do need to do so much better. And as you know, I'm a huge, passionate ambassador for women's empowerment and actually going, we need to collaborate, not compete. We need to rise each other up and to let people shine in their circumstance, not hold them back, not be thinking they're all going to rip you off and things like that. So one, I'm surprised because obviously I'm at the other end of my career and I, in my lifetime that has happened. I was hoping more had happened to change this younger generation. But at your age, it still shows that we have so much work to do.
Yeah.
So in your role now as the pageant queen from your area in the US, what opportunities have you now had to be engaged and to start, empowering people when you go to these breakfasts or lunches or have speaking opportunities or you'll go on TV? What opportunities do you have to share with women?
Well, the biggest one is mentorship. So that is a part of my platform. And I also started my own mentorship for young girls in my area. And then also now, since COVID is virtual, because I want to be able to instill the values and understand, there's more to life than what we know, that what we've been taught, and expose young women to more opportunities that I didn't have growing up. So basically, we meet once a week, and I have different guest speakers that come in, and we just sit on Zoom and chat about like life. We talk about different career opportunities, and the most thing I'm trying to get to them to understand is that they have someone in their corner, that I want to be an advocate for you. I want to be able to go to a company and they be like, hey, well, I need such and such. And I'm like, hey, well, I have this mentee that does that. So I really want to be able to give those opportunities to young girls, because I know growing up, I didn't have anything as extension as that. Like, I had to do everything myself. And I want to be able to, take some of the burden off of them and also be able to help empower them for the next generation coming up to, give back to them too.
Yeah, and I love that about you, and I love that about women who take on that mantle. That's right. And whatever age you are, if you realize that you're in a position that you can actually just be that hand, that leg up to other women who are, wanting to take these next steps but don't have yet the confidence or the experience, and whereas you can actually go, because of my experience or my opportunities or my networks, I can actually help you make that happen, and we can actually do it together. I'm not your competition. I'm not here for alternate reasons. I actually just want you to thrive and grow your skill set in this area. And I think that is just so awesome. So tell me about tell me about the ladies first before we move on to your business. What are their biggest challenges? So those women who are now, you're helping them in your role, what are their biggest challenges to be able to take that next step?
I would say confidence and the lack of opportunities, especially here, in my hometown. Everything is, hey, I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a lawyer. But they're never, ever people that come in to talk about different careers, like in PR. I didn't know what PR was until I got into college, and that's what I found out that I enjoy. So being able to expose them to different things, like you don't just have to be a doctor or a lawyer. You can be a fashion designer and still have a great life. You can still be an engineer and still have a great life. You can be an influencer on social media. Who would have known 5 years ago that you can make money off of social media? So I want to be able to show them these different opportunities and also grow their confidence to be able to say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to stand in, and also help someone else out.
Yeah, and to help them know, what does that mean for them? That's right. In this time on the planet, you can actually do whatever it is you want. And a lot of people, it's actually just getting them to a mindset that they can imagine what are all the opportunities, and then what resonates with me, what could I study? Or also, if you study something and it's not your thing, to realize you can actually then just study something else, move on. You don't have to get locked into a career or a program for someone else's reasons or purpose. I think you're definitely from that new generation of, it's got to resonate with you personally. Yeah. Tell us all about your marketing company then. So you went off to university and you did marketing and social media.
So, funny story, when I went off to undergrad, I didn't start in PR and marketing. I started as a biology major. And everything was fine, but I just never felt fulfilled in that aspect. Like, I like biology, I like the whole science behind everything, but it just didn't feel like this is my life. But like you said, opportunities and, hearing it. And then my mom always wanted me to go to medicine. So I was like, I'm doing this for her.
Yes.
And ultimately, when she passed, it was just like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. Like, I hate medicine. The whole reason why I was doing medicine, it was because of her.
Yeah.
And so what am I going to do with my life now? And by this point, I'm a sophomore going in my junior year. I've taken all these biology courses, and my advisor is looking at me like, here, this is your junior year. You're going to change your major and not graduate on time. And I'm just like, at this point, I don't care about when I graduate. I have to find something I feel fulfilled about. So going on with her, just finding out things like I like, which is, reading, writing, creating stories, things like that. And she was like, well, take this communications class, which was intro to PR. And she was like, it still counts as credit, but maybe this is something you will enjoy. So I took the intro to PR class and fell in love with it, and changed my major that day to communication studies with a minor in PR and sociology.
I love that journey, because I think women around the world will have had that moment. And I've interviewed a few on my program that, that's right. You're doing a course for someone else's reasons, and they're beautiful. It's a beautiful career. You could have become a doctor. You could have done what your mum wanted. You were already well into, all of your study and everything was in the sciences. And, it doesn't mean that you didn't have capacity, but suddenly an event happened, which unfortunately your mum passed on. And so for you, it was a time to actually stop and reflect and went, it's almost like I can imagine those moments of, do I keep doing it for my mum even though she's passed? Do I keep doing it because I've gone too far? But you're still at such a young, tender age. But at that age, you're also going, but I've invested so much, it feels like a lot. But in the scheme of life, it's not. And then to be able to I think it's very brave, it's very bold to then be having those conversations, because I can imagine at the university, all those older folk are still saying, hey, just finish it.
They were like, you already taken most of your science classes, you might as well just graduate with go to med school. And I was like, I would hate my life at this point if I would continue knowing this is not what I want to do anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because the previous generation, and I grew up in that generation too, it's kind of like going, but just finish it for the sake of finishing it. Whereas that's where there's a real change now. I'm going, yeah, that's right. But you actually went and said, yeah, but I was miserable. I could do that, but it's just not my thing. And then that feeling, and you can hear it in, you know, you can even see it. I can see it in your face, your body language. And then suddenly you discovered that communications and the creative and areas that you didn't even know about this qualification. And then suddenly it's like, yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And then now, you know, look at that just a few years later, you know, you're smashing it. You're happy, you're thriving, your business is going, you know, great. You're able to use your personal passion, you know, through the pageantry and through wanting to mentor younger women to be able to then sort of link that with your community, you know, the area that actually is a perfect fit for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're established, what was your experience then once you qualified of setting up your own business? You know, did you have help in that or did you have to learn that yourself?
Nope. No one in my family started a business, so I was out on Google trying to figure it out. And what led me to start my business was because I couldn't find a job in my field and I didn't want to move just yet. You know, I was fresh out of college. I didn't have any cash to just up and move to like New York or California where PR is big. So I knew we had PR firms here in Birmingham, but I wanted to apply to those, get myself established. And then if I decided I wanted to move on, I could move on. Yeah. So this is 2016. I've been, I started working at a hotel straight out of college. And I was like, I was going to build my way up. And 6 months in, and I was like, I can't do this. Customer service, I understand. I've been in retail and customer service most of my life, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Wow. Then I ended up getting into a job with trucking, with recruiting and all that. And I was like, okay, I'm still not satisfied here. Like, okay, I'm making more money and I'm saving up, but what can I do in the meantime to keep my skills fresh? So I started doing internships on the side too while I was going to grad school. And then it hit me one night and I was like, I'm doing internships for free. I'm taking all these skills that I've learned and I'm cultivating and I'm working for someone else, even though it's not mine. Like, what else do I have to show for it? And I was like, and then I'm working with women who are not that older than me that had their own companies at these internships. So I was like, well, why can't I have my own? And it was like a light bulb kickoff. And it was like, hey, why don't you just start freelancing and do your own business? And that scared the living crap out of me because I'm just like, I've never started a business. No one in my family started a business. None of my friends started a business. So where am I going to get all this information from? So I spent most of my time on Google trying to figure out what did I need. And I was going back and forth with it for I would say 6 months. I was going back and forth about it. And in January, I decided to book a photo shoot. And I was like, if I'm putting money into it, I have to do it some kind of way.
Yeah, so, commit, invest. That's always a good motivator.
So I spent all this money for a photo shoot. I ended up doing my website myself. I taught myself how to do my website. And in March in 2018, I started my own business and I haven't looked back since. So.
Wow. What was the biggest learning there? You know, and did you have any epic fails?
Ooh, I had the first 6 months, I was just offering my service for free to different local businesses here in Birmingham. And the biggest lesson I learned is people will take advantage of your kindness in business. And I had to stop being the soft-spoken person that I was and to say, hey, I'm not going to keep on doing everything for you because I had so many people, can you do this? Can you do my website? Can you do my social media? Can you do this? And it's like, I'm doing all of this for free because I want to build up my portfolio. Yeah. And I was like, I'm still back at square one where I started from. So I was like, I can't keep doing this. So that was my biggest lesson, like, charge what they're worth. Don't be afraid, even when you first start your business, to charge because people will take advantage of you.
Yeah.
In your situation.
They so will. They so will. So it's a catch-22. And I know a lot of people I've coached have had that same sort of experience. And I did that originally as well. Of, you just want to, there's a fine line of you want to establish yourself. So you want to have enough in your portfolio. You want people to have known that you've worked or done certain pieces of work or had certain clients or whatever. And that is necessary, but you can be quite intentional and set limits on how much you want to do in that way, right? But what we can often do is you suddenly go, yeah, you forget about that. You just start being overly generous, or you become, which is a bit more desperate. It's less, it's less intentional. And also, as you've said or referred to, it really does devalue your expertise, and that's right. Anyone takes a freebie, and it's almost like even if it had $1 to it, if it had something to it, we'll then find. It's like a sieve, right? It actually shows who's interested. And then you can do something that I could give you free this amount. However, after that, I'd need to charge you whatever, or also make a call and go, well, my value is X dollars, and that's what it's going to cost. So I think that is, it's a hard learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really hard, because you suddenly go, oh my gosh, I've gone into this business to create this amazing business and to give myself flexibility and time and confidence and all these great things. And then it's very easy to get a sense of exhaustion and overwhelm because you're doing all things to all men and then getting no reward for it. And then almost to the point that it's hard to even capitalize on what you've learned so that you can resell that to other people. That percentage of being in your business and working on your business, it's really important as well. So I love talking to people who have actually just freshly in this experience too, because it's so interesting, and it's so wonderful that you go, what you can actually just learn from going to Google, but then a lot of things it's actually just trial and error, trying what things around and having that boldness to go, none of it's, which is why I go, what's your epic fail? I love it. Because I think that those failures, those real good learnings, and then what do you do about it? And it's really powerful. Whereas I think some people hide that, going, okay, I don't want to tell you about this, or I lost a lot of money there. And you go, no, because those people coming after you want to hear that. They want to have those learnings. Like you would have loved that, right?
Yes, I would appreciate it. Someone telling me, hey, your first client, do not do it for free. And then even now, like just having a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people don't want to say where they failed or where they, something went wrong. And I'm the first one. Hey, I lost 3 clients today because of COVID. So now what am I going to do? And I think my followers appreciate the transparency, because I always want to be transparent and be as authentic as possible. And I know that other people are looking at me to figure out if they want to start a business. So I'm not going to be like, oh, ever since I started, I was making 100K months. And when in actuality, my expenses are costing more than what my clients are getting sometimes. So I always want to make sure that people know both sides of the story. Like you can have great months, and then you have those months that you have nothing coming in and you're trying to figure things out. So
yeah, and I think I love that. I'm all about the real journey, because that's right. All the other things, there's no point putting yourself out there as a mentor and I'm here to help you, and then creating this fake view of what it's like. Anyone who's an entrepreneur or solopreneur at the beginning realizes that there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears. There's lots of highs and lows. There's instant, oh my gosh, I got this client, I wasn't expecting it, and then that can then run out, and then you can have nothing, and then have those moments of what's wrong with me, why isn't it working the same way this time? There's senses, there's all sorts of variables of timing, contacts, just opportunities that fell in your lap. Sometimes timing, for some people, COVID has been a very positive time for their businesses, and others it's been an incredibly horrendous time for their businesses. And so it's that flexibility and that real authentic journey that is really, really helpful for those that you're role modeling for, particularly in your space. So how did you then develop to the point of helping people get exposure in certain magazines or brands and blogs and things? How did that work?
Yeah, so when I was in college, basically I learned to do that for myself. So when I first started my business, I was like, I have to show people a tangible experience, but people won't take it just from, hey, your client does this, that, and the other. They want to see it from your point of view. Like, what are you doing in your business that you're using these sets of business sets? So when I first started out, people always ask, well, how did you end up in this, blog? How did you end up in this magazine? How did you end up on, like, even now, like, people still contact me and say, well, how did you end up on TV for your for your for pageant? And it was like, do you have somebody doing your PR? And I was like, no, I do my own PR myself. Like, I even give my pageant sisters, advice on how to get on with TV stations and how to, build up their pitches. So through that experience and through just being on Instagram a lot, I would showcase, hey, this is what I did to get in my magazine today. So these are the tips. So I do give out a lot of free advice because I do want people to know about PR, because a lot of people do mistake PR, marketing, and advertising as the same thing, and they don't understand or differentiate from each other. So I feel like with myself, my business, and myself tangibly with my pageant, I can show them what PR is and being able to show how authentic it can be, as opposed to just someone paying me just to do their PR. Because it's just like, you can do it for someone else, but can you do it for yourself?
Yeah. Very different. Very different.
Yeah.
That's it. And you want people to have those skills and that sustainability, that, learn the tips from me and then go on and start practicing, do as much as you can, and then come back, have a source that you can come back to when you want the next level. So sometimes you do need to pay for that. You need to put yourself out and get that paid expertise. And other times it's really great to learn those skills and keep practicing, because you'll get better at them. So yeah. Keaira, what does success look for you long term? Where do you see at your age? Where, if you could crystal ball, how far could you go, and what would it look like for you?
Wow, that's a scary question. Crystal ball. As far as me, I don't know. Like, that's crazy to think about, especially with what's going on right now. But within the next 5 years, I do want, my business to grow so I can be able to bring on other young women into my business so they can have an opportunity to learn about PR, learn about social media, and just being able to step more out of me being so hands-on inside the business and being the CEO in the business and overseeing everything. Hopefully, fingers crossed, like, I do have a 9-to-5 that's in PR too. So hopefully in that realm, I'm able to become a director in my division. We're going to speak this into existence. So being able to do that. And then also success just means me being able to touch at least one woman with my mentorship, be able to give scholarships through that point, and be able to fund someone's dream from starting their own business or going to college.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that, because you're focusing on all those areas that successful women sort of, it's a breadth of what I see as a successful woman. So one, it's the boldness to go, okay, well, that's right. Even though the circumstances are pretty hard, particularly in the US at the moment. So it's instantly, I can feel that pullback of, oh my gosh, like, well, I used to have these, I could probably say what I wanted a year ago, and now I'm like, oh, what's possible? But then you then quickly rerouted to, okay, well, if I do have the crystal ball and all things go well, one, there was a strong element of success for you, is what I heard, was that it's getting to a level that you can be able to be working at your premium, which is being that CEO, being that director, managing other people in your business while working still on your business, but sort of getting that balance right, I suppose. You then mentioned that total collaboration of bringing other women in to have that opportunity to work in your business and help them thrive and upskill and so forth. And then you also had that element, which I love, that beautiful quality of giving back, that you then mentioned, wouldn't that be great if you could have a scholarship and an opportunity to go, wow, it's almost like that lucky ticket. Who could actually want to, be able to apply for that and then receive a certain scholarship and then be able to be rewarded in that way, which is a real blessing. And I really admire the way that you approach that question, because it is a really hard question. And many times we kind of go, oh, we're happy where we are and we're doing better than we ever expected and we're on this ride. And then, it's really important to stay in the now while having future goals, but also be able to, when I push people and I think, well, yeah, that's right, what is your future dream and what does success look like? It's really interesting what then surfaces. And I think the breadth of what you're wanting to achieve is really, really honorable. And I wish you all the best in doing that, because I think you're a superhuman being. And that you're going to be a great blessing to those that you're role modeling to, and young women who are coming through and seeing the opportunities that they can achieve. So well done, you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Just doing it. I mean, I just feel like at this point that I kind of this was mostly of my purpose of helping other young women to get to this point, because I always wasn't at this point. Like when I was in college, I was that shy person. I tend to, shy away from doing things like that and speaking up for myself, or even being a part of organizations. And it's just like, just to be able to help someone that like I was back in my schooling is just amazing to see it. So just to see the growth in my life, to be able to help others is just, it's still inspiring to me, and hopefully I'm inspiring some other people to do the same.
You certainly are. You certainly are. So how do people find you, Keaira? What's your website?
Yeah, so my website is www.kgtcommunication without the SLLC.com. We're also on Instagram at KGT Communications, and my personal Instagram is Keaira G Turner. So that's KEAIRA Turner.
And I will put that all on my YouTube and my podcast platform for everyone to be able to access. So if you have been inspired by Keaira today, you'd like to reach out, you feel that what she shared would resonate with you, feel free to go and contact her. I'm sure she'd be very willing to have a chat. And thank you for sharing with me today. I think keep doing what you're doing. You're just you're heading in all the right directions. And for you, I see the difference of you're going to, you're growing and following your path and your purpose to 100%, which is so wonderful that you were bold enough to make that decision, for yourself, of planting yourself in the right place as opposed to what other people wanted for you. I think you've really demonstrated that that's a really good outcome. So well done, you.
Thank you. And again, thank you for having me to talk to you today and talk to your audience.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes and, of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.